I know it gives me the 3, 2, 1 countdown, but I literally almost always manage to look like a fucking idiot in the thumbnail. But this is only a test. Trying to be very empirically sound in this study. Somebody asked me today, why are you posting to YouTube? Because I can. I'm trying in the best way that I can to create right now a weird studio concept, set, whatever. Because while I am this human and I'm pretty recognizable in honesty, like I hadn't left, I have been out of jail for 29 days today, 28 days. I'm not obsessed with time as a metric in general. It's a construct. But, I understand that, time is a thing. But, it can get very confusing because I'm in East Coast Standard Time View Zone, meaning that currently it is 1 a.m. ish. Have I been speaking for, I don't know how many, I've been on a minute 25, so it should be 1:01 a.m. I always forget what AM means because it's an acronym, A.M. Is it anti-meridian? No, that's not wrong. That's wrong. It's because post-meridian is what PM stands for. And I could look that up, but while I'm doing, and I just don't feel like it. I don't care enough. And here's the keyboard right here. And it's very easy to open up another window. You're still staring at me and I could look it up. I don't fucking care enough to do that. AM means something. I can't right now because I'm getting a little tired. It's 1 a.m. And, I should have kept better notes for today in relation to the experiments that I run. And I know that, I sound like a lunatic. But please realize when I say I'm running experiments, that I am a scientific illuminist. That's one of the ways I identify myself. We all have labels that we self-apply. And I was showing this as a image, so you know what that is. That's the equinox. It was a journal that was published by Aleister Crowley for the first time in 1909. And it was the equinox, and it says up top, and this is a reproduction journal edition. So, it says the method of science up top. And then, of course, it has these symbols here, which we can talk about at a later point. The equinox, and then right here in tiny letters, it says, of course, the review of scientific illuminism, and then it has some other letters, MCMIX, which is Roman numerals for the date. And then, of course, it says the aim of religion. And then, of course, down here it says blank college ruled journal 7 by 10, 240 pages. And, I keep notes, magical notes, and this is my magical journal currently. It's not a good example of one. It would not be one I'd want to, this would be personal. I wouldn't want to leave this to my child, for instance. I do have a child. They're an adult, but they're still my child. So, and so it was started on 4/22/2019 with a caveat note saying, but work actually started on 1/13/2019 EV. Or you could say Common Reckoning or CR, whatever abbreviation you want to use to notate that, this date of January 13th, 2019, Common Reckoning. And then, or, maybe you would notate solar calendar or lunar calendar, because that would affect the date as well. Or you are a Celtic witch and your New Year's Eve is October 31st, Samhain, and you begin the new year on November 1st. Maybe perhaps you follow that tradition of that. So, New Year, even something as relation to that. Hey, Happy New Year. I could say that on November 1st to certain people, and it would be like, yeah, cool, groovy. And I say, Happy New Year. Maybe they think I'm a lunatic because it's November 1st, but, it just, or December 31st, often when it turns midnight, the tradition is on January 1st, you say, Happy New Year. you know. But it's weird. Oh, like at 11:59 p.m., December 31st, we don't say Happy Old Year, do we? Kind of a cool thing. Happy Old Year, Happy New Year, kind of, but we don't do that. So and so that was started on 4/22, 2019. And it's a bad example of a magical journal because I should be a good scientific illuminist, and it should be daily notations of all of my magical experiments because I want to, I do want to leave behind something of to my child, and maybe some others when I pass away. However that happens, I don't know. I did have a soror of mine have a vision, and her prediction was that I would die sometime between 87 and 90, and I would die due to somebody stopping by my temple, and literally I'm so shocked to fucking see them. Something happens to me, and I die of shock, but it would be a good joy shock. Uh, that was a prediction. So, but like, so for example, I don't always keep the best magical journals. I should. I think it's important. I think journaling is great. But unfortunately, the last magical journal entry, and hey, look, I'm a failure, was July 4th, 2020, EV. And then a couple different languages written here. And, but ultimately, I was reading Psalm 56, and I was reading at that particular moment, studying the New International Version, St. Joseph's edition. That's so when I was reading Psalm 56, I had this. I was reading from this, the St. Joseph medium-sized New American Bible, and I was reading. What did I say? Psalms 56. Oh, that's what I said. Now, as a child, I tried to pronounce the P when I went to church, and that was a good opportunity for people to make fun of me, and I really appreciated that greatly because I had never, I'd heard the word said a lot, but when it came to, I said the Book of Palms, and I didn't mean to sound stupid, but I guess I did, and I needed to be corrected and reminded of my stupidity. So then I'm going to the table of contents and this is a Catholic edition of the Bible, so I'm not trying to upset anybody by reading from the St. Joseph edition. Certainly, that's not my intention for you to be upset. Certainly, trying to read the Bible. And the Bible's just a book. That's what the word means, or sutra, or tantra. Those are all just words for books. Psalm is kind of like another word for poem. I think I said Psalms. Did I? What Psalm did I say? I said Numbers. 56. Okay, 56. Sorry, I was thinking Psalm 69. How to succeed and how to suck eggs out of the Book of Lies as well. So 56. See how easy? So that's why it's good to keep notes. So this is Psalm 56. So this is trust in God, and the note here is. It's for the director, and it's according to Yonath Elam Rohakim. And there's a note there, a miktam of David when the Philistines seized him at Gath. So some background and information in relation to this particular psalm from the Judeo-Christian, because the book of Psalms is in the Old Testament. So then therefore the Jewish folk of the world also read this. And I'm not saying there aren't Muslims who don't read the Old Testament. I mean, and I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to talk about the Abrahamic faiths. And so I was studying Psalm 56. And I'm going to read from this, and it might not be the edition you're used to hearing because maybe you like King James version. And if we wanted to do like a parallel, I could go get my Masonic Bible, which is a King James version, and we could read both and we could study them comparatively if you want to do that. I don't feel like probably doing that, but maybe I will. I don't fucking know. I'm going to read it here in St. Joseph's. And this is a great, I love this Bible. This was given to me by a very dear family member who's still alive. And thank God for her being alive and for her always being a voice of grace, mercy, compassion, and wisdom in my life. I love my aunt Matilda greatly, and her name has been changed to protect her because I really wouldn't want to necessarily have her be associated with me because I'm pretty recognizable, I think, at least by in this small town. And I'm not saying that is greatly, I just people have a tendency to remember me, and sometimes I feel bad because I don't remember them because I was abusing drugs and I don't have memory of that. So it's embarrassing, But anyway, I have mercy on me, God, for I'm treated harshly. Attackers press me all the day. My foes treat me harshly all the day. Yes, many are my attackers. O Most High, when I'm afraid, in you I place my trust. God, I praise your promise. In you I trust. I do not fear. What can mere flesh do to me? All the day they foil my plans. Their every thought is of evil against me. They hide together in ambush. They watch my every step. They lie in wait for my life. They are evil. Watch them, God. Cast down the nations in your anger. My wanderings, you've noted. Are my tears not stored in your vial, recorded in your book? My foes turn back when I call on you. This I know. God is on my side. God, I praise your promise. In you I trust. I do not fear. What can mere mortals do to me? I have made vows to you, God. With offerings, I will fulfill them. Once you've snatched me from death, you've kept my feet from stumbling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living. And I think that's a very beautiful song. And I was discussing earlier, and it might have been on here, and it might have been on Facebook, that while incarcerated, I do not identify as a Christian. And I don't mean that in any disrespect, in any way, to one Christian, I guess two Christians there. I mean, one, human who was at my temple earlier is a Christian. I believe that he is of the Baptist variety of that faith, that denomination, and I'm really grateful to have that Christian as a friend because he gives me a little hope in that faith, and I don't have a lot of hope in that faith myself, and that's my problem, and I don't want that problem to become your problem. I don't. If Christianity is what works for you, then God bless you. Awesome. I am happy for you, legitimately. Um, I wish that it worked for me. But like literally my nurture aspect, part of what formed me, this current iteration, this individual here, this flesh prison that I'm trapped within, the entity inside this flesh prison, has been formed by and impacted by his nurture, the environment that he was grown up in. Me, I was impacted by my environment, and I'm no different than any of you. We've all been impacted by our environment, nurture. Well, we've also all been impacted by nature as well. There's two things: nature, nurture, and wonderfully, at least in the English language, easy to remember. Nature, what's that? Well, that's natural order of things. I was born April 12th, 1978. Oh my God, I gave out a piece of personal information. Or was I? I don't fucking know. I mean, really, somebody has told me that was what was recorded down on a piece of paper, maybe. But maybe it was May 16th. I mean, should I pull out my ID and show you what it says? I mean, you're going to, I guess, trust me to a degree. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, that guy, that's his birthday. But But yeah, that's my birthday. I'm into astrology. I'm into tarot. So, you know, I use my birthday as a concrete example, often to help people understand things. Um, but then, you know, I know that I've posted videos where, you know, I've been learning this kind of as I go. I haven't, if you study the live streams, even, you know, that are associated with this account, and I think, unfortunately, and not to any malicious nature of me, and I will try to shut down the other alternative YouTube streams. I probably did. And I don't mean to say probably, I've had 2 emails, and 2 active YouTube accounts. And unfortunately, due to the vagaries of technology, in that I primarily accessed the internet via a cell phone for the longest time, and it was a cell phone that I shared often with my wife at the time, who's not technically my wife now, though technically we are still legally married. So, you know, I cannot say ex-wife. That would be a misnomer. That would be obfuscation. You know, I view her as my ex-wife. Yes, yes, I do very much so. But you know, it's not nothing against her as a human being. Um, I love her still on a fundamental level. I wish her nothing but a life of wonderful grace, beauty, and you know, I hope she finds everything that she was looking for. That, you know, that I unfortunately failed in my way to be able to provide for her. I tried my goddamn best, and unfortunately, at that particular time, at that particular moment, it wasn't enough. Um, I guess you could say her and I we reached kind of an impasse, and that's a goddamn shame, and it's sad that it happened, but nonetheless, that was the denouement. And you know, the last time I had a communication with my wife was, it was a random text um, at a random time, and I did not wish to notate this. You know, I wasn't being active with my journal. I was failing there. And so I don't have the empirical data to back me up. But was sometime in 2019, is all I can honestly say. During that year EV or CR or however you want to, you know, mention it. Um, so 2019 solar year, traditionally December 31st being the last day of 2019, the first year of 2020 being January 1st. It was definitely sometime in 2019. But then again, I traditionally do the lunar year cycle for me, so that means that is a movable year because it's based movable feast, a movable holiday, or movable celebration. So then, therefore, it occurs sometime in January, late early February, in relation to the moon. So, but then again, there was a period in my life when I was practicing Wiccan with a decidedly Celtic angle, or Celtic. I mean, please don't yell at me. I say Celtic. You can say Celtic. I don't fucking care. I think we all know we're talking about the same thing. And it's just a sound, it's a pronunciation. And I'd like to make a note, and I kind of say this a lot. Don't, you know, hey, I'm the first person that can be a giant fucking asshole. And I'm the first person to admit that. I try in my way to be kind and loving. I do. But I fail. And goddamn, when I fail, holy shit, fire, goddamn. I do not just fail. I drive that motherfucker into the ground, flaming, screaming, crash landing when I fail. You know, it's a spectacular, evil Knievel kind of failure. That's not really a fair, you know, analogy. I mean, but I feel like that. It's like, but I'm not often not attempting something maybe as grand as Evil Knievel, so I feel that that's necessary. But I mean, it's a grand, damn disastrous fuck up. Usually, it's like, wow, I don't fuck up in small measures. I fuck up in huge, giant measures. Usually, and it's my own goddamn fault every single fucking time. Ultimately, a lot of times in life we don't like to say, hey, it's my fault. Um, but most of the time, uh, if I really and I hate to reference a Jimmy Buffett song right now, but it is kind of like in Margaritaville. Throughout the song he's singing, he's trying to misplace the blame in Margaritaville. I mean, clearly it's a song called Margaritaville. I mean, he's trying to place the blame on the margaritas. He's trying to, and in that song he's talking about and there's a woman to blame. But at the end of the song, he admits that it's his own damn fault. And I mean, Jimmy Buffett, and this came up in a Facebook conversation the other day with a soror. Um, and the Facebook post was something kind of similar to, I don't know, cringeworthy song lyrics, maybe. I can't remember exactly. I didn't keep a note, but it was, and Jimmy Buffett was one of the artists that this soror referenced. Um, or somebody in that thread, I think it was her, but maybe somebody else in that thread or whatever mentioned, and like, wow. Uh, and they were kind of trying to generate a conversation on Facebook about that. And Jimmy Buffett was at one point an artist when I was a younger teenager. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't say that I identified as a parrot head, which is what the term great Jimmy Buffett fans self-applied, parrot heads, because parrots are a tropical bird, and I think there was an allusional song. Maybe he wrote, I don't know, did he write a song about a parrot? The Grateful Dead, Deadheads. And Fish Fanatics, I think, is that right? And then Flaming Lips fans or Flippers, right? I mean, gosh, I mean, there's other, that's kind of cool. When literally you are so popular that your fans decide to call themselves something. Like, hey, I mean, say what you want to about Jimmy Buffett. God damn. I mean, I remember this was before the days where people could capture. I mean, they did. I saw a video at a friend's house, Frater's house once, and it was a video recording, like a VHS recording, or I think might have been Super 8. I can't remember the medium, but I was at this house party, and he played a very early Jimmy Buffett video, and I'm sure it's on YouTube. Maybe I don't know. I mean, he recorded that video. The dude's house I was in. He had recorded personally this. He was a parrot head, and he had recorded this particular Jimmy Buffett performance. And one thing I'll always remember about seeing this performance that was, I don't know what year. I can't remember what year the guy said it. We were watching it on a fucking cathode ray tube television on a VCR. I mean, but I don't remember the medium just because the VCR was the medium. I don't know if it was originally filmed on like 8mm, but it wouldn't have had sync sound and see. But anyway, it was probably recorded on beta or VHS. Let's say, for instance, I mean, to just end this myopic detail I'm focusing on. And it was a video of Jimmy Buffett, and he was sitting there. He was sitting there in a very small dive bar. You could tell just by the staging and the lighting, and it was literally Jimmy Buffett with an acoustic guitar, with no even external amplification. It was just an acoustic guitar, so and a mic for his voice, but the guitar was not mic'd in this particular recording. It was just, I mean, it was very early days of Jimmy Buffett. It would be songs like Captain America, that song by Jimmy Buffett. Death Valley Lives, that kind of like, those are, Captain America was just a Marvel reference that if you wanted to hear a Jimmy Buffett song, Captain America, I mean, why not listen to it? Or Death Valley Lives is actually a song that I will occasionally perform live myself. I actually really like the song. Um, and I, I don't mind. I used to. There's quite a lot. I mean, Margaritaville is a song I just mentioned that I did like. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I could sing it right now. I think, in all honesty, I think it's a good example of popular songcraft. Um, and and I like the fact that throughout the song, he's really this, and this is that song is off Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitudes, which, I mean, hey, it's a direct rhyme, but hey, sometimes it might help if you need to change your attitude to change your latitude. Um, you don't need to do that to change your attitude, but sometimes putting some distance between causes and effects helps. Um, and that was the LP it was off of. Very basic LP cover, kind of beige. I think it had a compass heart thing on it. Jimmy Buffett in a pretty cool script. Changes in latitude, changes in attitude. Kind of a kitschy album LP cover, and you can Google image that shit. At some point, this is just a test. Um, I want this to be a different thing. I don't like that as the background there. I'm happy with like almost everything else. I wish that I could eliminate the light bloom that comes up here, and I wish I just had that skull art fabric print thing light, because I don't like that light bloom. And I mean, while I don't mind this fabric that I hung on the wall, I would say I preferred the initial tapestry, which was the hand of Fatima, whatever, on the wall, tapestry that I liked. It was, and then of course I do enjoy the Grateful Dead, Steal Your Face, and that's actually supposed to be like 3D and blacklight, but I don't have a blacklight flashlight anymore to show you that it is blacklight, but it is indeed. And then it is also 3D if you put on these weird ass 3D glasses. Or I don't know. They kind of remind me of like light producing the visual trail effect that some psychedelic drugs I experimented with as a youth. So they're kind of weird glasses to wear. But if you put these weird, um, I don't know, I've seen them at theme parks, and they're like, make the Christmas lights better, and or lights better. So they're kind of these weird glasses that you put on your face, and they have weird lenses. Um, like I saw a pair of goggles that had giant prisms inserted into them, and the next time I think they were $60. The next time I have $60 to just purely fucking blow, I will buy those prism glasses, and I know exactly where to go. And if you all happen to be traveling on Route 10 in for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and you are heading east, and the James River will be to your immediate north. And if you keep going, you'll find yourself at an intersection where you are actually in Scotland, Virginia. And maybe perhaps you did not know there was a Scotland, Virginia. But if you find yourself in Scotland, Virginia, on the other side of the James River, the northern bank of the James River is Jamestown, which certainly people, I think, know Jamestown, but maybe they don't know Scotland. And there is the Jamestown, Scotland ferry. It is a car ferry. It is free. And depending on the time of year, the schedule's actually not too bad. And if you're traveling out that way, shit, I'd recommend, if you have the time, just take the ferry. Cross over to Jamestown, whether you hit the historical reenactment center or not. I hope you do have time to hit that. That'd be something I'd recommend. Um, but if you're planning a trip to anywhere along the eastern seaboard or any place I've been, I'd be happy, to discuss great vacation ideas of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginia is for lovers. Name a city that, if you happen to be coming to Virginia sometime soon for some purpose, um, Maybe you want to visit Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I wouldn't currently recommend, highly visiting Richmond. I mean, right now, because it's a large city, and that would increase logically your chances for getting COVID-19. That's why I'm saying that. I'm providing you. I don't want you to draw some erroneous conclusion because I haven't said why I'm cautioning. I would say this in relation to any big city. Maybe some other big cities that I would advise not visiting during this permanent feeling apocalypse we are in would be, hey, if you don't live in a big city, hey, baby, why don't you not visit a big fucking city right now? Unless you need to. Like maybe it's part of your job. You still need to commute into a big city for work. Maybe, that's true. I'm sure there are people who work right now in a city that don't live in that city, but they still must commute into that city that they don't live within, maybe to work. I think most cities, municipalities, whatever, I think a lot of them sometimes have like caveats or like residential restrictions. Like if you are a police officer, I'm not saying the Commonwealth of Virginia has this requirement, but you must live within the city to have a city job, or you must be willing to relocate to the city within a certain period of time. I mean, which I think makes sense for a police officer. I really do. I think if you're going to police a community, and then ideally, I would feel far more comfortable with a police officer who lives in the community than a police officer who maybe lives in an adjacent community. But I'm not trying to, provide in my discussion randomly of cities and police officers. I'm not trying in any way to disparage a police officer that might exist in the city of Paris who maybe lives outside Paris. That's cool. I mean, if that works. I'm just saying that if I lived in the city of Paris, I would appreciate it if the Parisian police officer, what's that? A gendarme, Gendarme, isn't that the French word for what I'd say? Gendarme? I don't know French. I know I haven't learned it. I'm so sorry. I mean, I know some French words because I studied criticism in college, getting my degrees. I did. And so I learned words like Monsieur Ensemble and auteur and denouement. These French words that were born out of French criticism. And so therefore, they kind of became these words that they're French words, but we still use today when discussing certain topics because that's the best word for, and that's the Bluetooth speaker shutting down. That was a test. I wanted to see how long it would run before it auto shut off. The Wonder Boom, and I realized that that is a reference to something. This is a Bluetooth speaker. This is in no way. I'm just trying to say what it is. Is that allowed? Am I violating some policy? This in no way is a product placement. I'm just saying that this thing that just made that noise is called a Wonder Boom. It broke. It used to have like this little loop here that I would use to attach to myself with a carbiner, but unfortunately that broke. And I think it's something rattling that really shouldn't be rattling. But I actually thought I had given this to a rapper. He was a rapper who I, out of loving kindness, let stay here a couple evenings. I did vet him to a degree, but we were broadcasting live on some medium. I know that particular evening. I believe that was likely Instagram. And I would warn everybody, hey, we're broadcasting live on Instagram because I fucking feel like it. And you're inside my temple, and hey, As long as one party in the Commonwealth is aware that filming is occurring, it's groupie green. The last time I studied the letter of the law in regards to that, because that's photographic consent, and you don't want to put something on here that, of, where does right to privacy begin? Where can I film you in my home? Yeah, I fucking can. As long as one party is aware that that filming is going on in some commonwealths, some states, that might be enough of a legal leg to stand on in a court of law. And you could say, yes, I have the right to have this videotape of my soror because they were sitting in the blue recliner in my living room at the time. Green light on my laptop had been discussed as a sign that I am recording or possibly broadcasting. I say that. Or I'll say, for instance, at that point, I was using cellular phone as primary internet connectivity device. So again, the problem with a cell phone is I could really record you, take a picture of you, and it could look like as I'm just checking a text. And with a forward facing, reverse facing camera, all these cameras. I mean, I think a freighter of mine was, and this was an older iPhone. I don't even know what iPhone exists. I think it's 11. Are we up to 11? Am I accurate there? Is it iPhone 12 yet? I don't fucking know. I don't have a cell phone. Well, I do, thanks to a freighter of mine who donated graciously a, 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 a gently used, I think it was a Samsung Galaxy S8. But I need my SIM card, and unfortunately, I don't. That was stolen. That phone was stolen when my temple was robbed while I was incarcerated. But then again, a property that goes vacant for as long as I was incarcerated without the proper safeguards runs a risk of robbery in this location, in this time. And that is not in any way to speak poorly of the neighborhood I live in. I would say, in all honesty, if I had to blame and understand the root cause analysis of that robbery, it whose fault was it? It was my own. A rather cavalier attitude, I suppose, could be a way in which, again, my intentions were good. Currently, I live in a giant house. I do. To me, it's giant. Um, I mean, literally, this is one room. I do not have the battery power right now to provide a tour, but this is the living room space. If I were to flip the camera 180 degrees and you were to see what I'm seeing, then you would see a Vizio television. I don't know how many inches it is. It's a very great big TV to me. I know it's not a great big TV by some standards, but to me, it's more than enough TV. It could be twice as small, or it could be this size, the laptop, which I don't know the size. I know you measure diagonally, but I didn't do that. This computer, because this computer was a gift. This computer that I'm broadcasting on, it is not in the best of shape. The keyboard's starting to not work. And but that is easily, this is a Bluetooth keyboard. This is, again, not trying to be a product placement. I don't want to, and this is a Bluetooth keyboard. It kind of is groovy. It lights up for a little bit and it lets you know it has a charge, and it's got a great range as Bluetooth does. And but anyway, and this is what you heard. This is something that people often see dangling from me or my bag or whatever, and it is usually, as it is a Bluetooth speaker, it will be playing something maybe at a reasonable volume, or maybe because of some error. And you hear that? Sometimes these are volume buttons, up, down, a lot of people say, "Hey, what's that weird cross thing? Oh, that's emanating sound." Or if they just see it, what is that weird fucking cross thing? No, it's just it's a Bluetooth speaker. It's called a Wonder Boom, and I really love them. I used to have the blue one with orange. It was blue and orange, and I preferred that color schemata versus uh, black and white. But then I ordered this refurbished when my blue and orange one died, and it had lasted. I mean, it was a champion as far as because I would juggle it, and I had it because it had a loop here. They all do. I had it tied, and I would spin it around, and then I would like throw it, and I would throw it at somebody. No, I mean gently. I'd say, "Hey, heads up," and then some people you go, "Oh," and that's what happened. Eventually, you know, it was user. I mean, but as far as testing and being very happy with the product, um, is this a product review? Should I be doing this on Amazon? I don't care. I'm just saying. But anyway, I really like this Wonder Boom. It's got this is the on button to like turn it on to on cycle, and then of course this button you hold on, and if it flashes red, it means it's dead. Red and dead rhyme. That's maybe that's why they chose red as the dead, often dead to bed. Was it the Xbox 360 that got the red ring of death? Was that? I don't think that. I mean, did they get to choose that as the red ring of death? And green traditionally is everything's running fine in general. Green light go, red and green are actually the complementary firing colors in the red and green um, exist complementary to each other in the physiological process that your brain grows through. It does grow through, but it also goes through when it processes color red and green or processed alternatively on the same synaptical neuron, something like that. Sorry, I'm not being 100% physiologically accurate in relation to the random discussion tangent of discussing black and white. Black is the absence of all color, and white is all colors at once, speaking on a color level. So therefore, this is black and that is white. And so then if I would like this, then this is white. See, I would say and by that definition, I'm not white. See, I'm darker than white. I am. I'm not trying to be ridiculous. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to make an observation. And like I mean, yeah. I mean, it's become a term. White. I look like a white guy. And I mean, and I have a lot of white heritage. I have Scots Irish heritage, which if you are not Scotch Irish, you don't have that official heritage. Technically speaking, you cannot call yourself a redneck. Joe Bob Briggs, the man, the legend, long live the reign of the drive-in mutants. Um, wow, was that a highlight for me personally of my life, getting to meet Joe Bob Briggs? Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, was that a fundamental, glorious pleasure of my life, getting to meet that man and get him to personally sign this poster, and then having the beautiful, wonderful Shudder horror stream channel on Shudder, Shudder. So a play on words there. I mean, Shutter, because I wouldn't want you to think it's like the shutter of a camera lens, Shutter, and you go to Shutter TV, and it's a television channel devoted to shutters. No, this is a television station, a web TV station, a streaming station. What do we call it in this new vernacular, this new lexicon? I call it Shutter television. Um, when I had an active subscription, there was one fucking reason that I paid however much it cost me to generate. I had to generate enough income to pay for Shutter TV. Why did I do that? Because Joe Bob Briggs. And if I wasn't going through some financial hardship right now, you better well believe fucking A that I would be watching some Joe Bob Briggs on the Shutter television right now. And I would probably still be streaming this. And then maybe I'd set up another camera, and I do like two cameras in one. And I see how ridiculous that gets. But anyway, no. All I wanted to say was, uh, I don't know how to study the analytics of YouTube while I watch. I wish I could. I don't. I think that this here, right here to me, I see two little human shapes and a one. I don't know if that means there is one viewer, because every single time I have live streamed on here and been paying close attention, being mindful, that one has existed. I've never gotten this thumbs up while I've been mindful of this and studying. But also, I know that this started at 1 a.m. and that scheduled. So I hope that worked. It's a test. And so that now I'm very, and it was weird because I started recording at about 12:45. So now I'm looking at, I've been running for 46 minutes up here. It tells me that I'm live and I've been running for 46 minutes and 31 seconds. But then down here, the only clock that exists in my temple, it says 1:35 a.m. So like in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Holy fucking shit. Why? What the fuck's going on, man? Why the goddamn hell? What happened to the 10 minutes? I'm testing. I forgot for a minute. I gotta take a urination break, but I don't feel like breaking the live stream. And oh, I got to turn the amp on and hope there's no feedback to leave you with some random sounds, because isn't that the proper? Is that loud enough for you? There we go. That's wonderful. Listen to that. This weird audio you're getting about really why that weird random noise provided to you by me, and I did not keep very good notes. I apologize. So I cannot remember how I created loop 81. I'm so sorry for that. Not really. I don't give a fuck. I don't know what that is either. And I wish that all day long it has been like this, and there's been no absolute feedback. The room tone has been great, and now there's this little teeny bit right now. And like, but what's very strange, and I've been studying this for about 12 months in relation to this temple location here. And what is odd to me is about every night, sometime around 11:30 and midnight, This is the current room tone. There's a stone amplifier over there in the southeast corner of this room. It's right over there. And then right there is my microphone towards the northwest corner of the room. And so, like all day long, that's how they are. That microphone is on, has been on all day long, being fed to an RC30 looper station by Boss. And so, because I've been sitting here trying to figure out, wow, this shit only can hold. And see, look, I'm not doing anything. And listen to that. So interesting. But there is more. I have to. That is something I have to adjust on the mic. I have to turn down the mic input level, beginning roughly at 11:30 a.m. But all day long it's set at this. And hear that? That doesn't sound pleasant, does it? But every night, beginning at around 11:30 p.m. for the last 12 months. Not every night. There have been some evenings where that did not occur. I didn't have to alter that microphone level. But I would say, statistically speaking, not running and accurate, probably statistical algorithm best one to compute this data, but my accuracy, I would say, is probably 90% accurate. I would say, let's say 85% of the time, I have to adjust the setting in the evening time. And there were times statistically that anomaly where it was set at that level, which is not really a numerical input. Right now it's at like, I don't know, 50% that knob. And then but all day long it was at 75%. Like, so if you look, I don't know, if you were to look at it like a clock face, it would be like all day long it was pointed at 3, but I just had to move it to noon clock faces. That's so, but because there's no integer number there. And I'm sure it's right there at my feet. I could grab it and show it to you, but I don't care. It's an RC30 Boss station. And I was saying today, earlier, journaling. I like to do it because I believe in magic, but I think journaling is a great thing, even if you don't believe in magic. And I love journals so much. I have like that journal. I have this journal, which is a Tote Ching journal, but the hard cover ripped off, so it's just the paper innards. I did not rip off the cover, but it was ripped off by someone other than me. I'm going to assume human and not a ghost, but anything's possible. So David Bowie or Bowie, and this is Aladdin Sane, and it kind of looks like a cassette tape. I really like this, but I did put an owl sticker that a very dear soror gave to me over David Bowie's face, and then I put this really cool sticker on the back of this journal that looks like a cassette tape. And this is I have 2 field notebooks, I think, and I don't mean to buy so many things. I don't really mean to. I don't mean to have more of some things than I need. But the last date that I wrote in here was 08/30/1936. And this journal, clearly that's not a date that I put up top to donate when I was writing it, because I did not write this. I was not, this entity here was not alive in 1936. And then no date on the next notation in this field journal. Donation needs, and I don't know if this is things people need donated to them or things I need, but I have mentioned, I guess maybe this is just a need of things I hope. Maybe this is a wishful thought list. A wilderness survival knife, and donation needs the materials necessary for spinal tap extraction. So I'm joking. That it's just a joke. But anyway, I mean, then I say, then the next note here, and this is accurate. can you read that? It says psychological group manipulation tactics. And then I have null written, but there's no date written here. See that? And then I've not, this is grid. This is grid. And then it actually also looks like that here. And then it looks like just blank grid here. So it's really cool. It was a gift from my wife, actually, who is not with me any longer. I guess the technical term is we are separated permanently and soon to be divorced. It's sad that it happened. It's a shame, but it did happen. So then the last dated note I have, like I said, I'm the worst that I can note. 4/24/2019. I wrote education center, and then there's some weird line studies there, and I'm not really sure. I didn't notate what the hell those lines were studying. So I'm a bad journal keeper. And then, oh, look at that. 4 days prior to that, 4/20/2019. And I made the note, and again, I should probably, when journaling, maybe put a reference in here to what I'm talking about. That might help. But I say, finally, something real? ? Staring into those eyes, I was lost, but did feel old spirits within me awaken. I had thought it was time to disappear again today. But now I wonder, ellipsis, those eyes, that spell, should I let go and see what the stars say? ? Yes. So that's a very hopeful note written on 4/20/2019. So, and then I don't have any note there, but I do have a note. Xenos, 7 p.m. There's a Vapor Chasers, $20. And then I have 10 p.m. But there's no date here. Vapor Chasers was a vaporizer shop that existed in multiple municipalities in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. Maybe Vapor Chasers still exist. I thought they were a pretty fun vapor lounge. You could kind of stop by, you could sit there and you could test flavors and sit down and vape with other humans. And wow, exciting. So kind of like a hookah lounge. And so I guess if you live in the greater Hampton Roads area, maybe research Vapor Chasers. That's where they're located. And I was talking about the Jamestown Scotland Ferry as a reference point for you. If you're at that intersection of Route 10 and another route, it's a 4-way intersection, blinking light. No, it's a red light now. And if you are at that red light facing north towards the James River, Scotland, if you keep going straight, you will hit the fucking James River. You will be in Scotland and you'll end up in the ferry line. And then you can take the free ferry ride across to Jamestown. And then from Jamestown to go to Williamsburg if you want to go that way. But then you could also, if you wanted to, if you were in Virginia for a limited time and plantations were your deal, you'd go Route 5. And I would recommend Westover Plantation on Route 5 as my favorite personal plantation. So, I mean, that's just some tips if you're vacationing in Virginia. That's where I'm currently located. And then this is probably my favorite note ever. Write this down. And that's what it fucking says right there. No date, just write this down. So that, and then here, this is interesting. This is 4/24/2019, and it exists before 4/20/2019. So that's bad journaling right there. That somehow 4/24/2019 happened before 4/20/19 in this journal. If you were reading it from in the traditional American way, we look at a book, and this is a book. This is a hardcover. This is a wrap. It's hard. We open it up usually like this. We open it up to the left, don't we? And then this is, might have a frontispiece, and here it has a wonderful picture of the David Bowie's Aladdin Sane cassette tape. And then, of course, there's a note here that says, if you, this is a Post-it note in here that says, framing, hey, bring items by on Thursday and speak with Stacy. She's our main framer. And then this note says, A-N-E Retro Graphics on Cleveland Street. So these are Virginia-based notes. The Framing note is still valid if you live within Virginia Beach. There is a Jerry's Artorama, and it is on Virginia Beach Boulevard in Virginia Beach. I'm sorry I can't provide the closest, nearest intersection, but I mean, I've given you enough details. You can open up a Google machine, a GPS machine, and you could research this yourself. Jerry's Artorama, it's a mom and pop shop, and it was my favorite place to purchase art supplies when I lived in Virginia Beach briefly in a past life. That was my go-to art supply store. My favorite pencils, the Faber-Castell in this bag, and this set of Faber-Castell pencils. There's probably some other various pencils in there because they're not all Faber-Castell. Wonderful company when it comes to pencils, and when you are an artist, I mean, really, I hate to say it, you're only as good as the materials you use. And so, I mean, you can create. I mean, there was a guy that I was incarcerated with, and I cannot recall his name, and I really wouldn't feel comfortable naming him on YouTube either, even if I could recall his name. But he was a beautiful, brilliant artist, and he was not the only beautiful, brilliant artist I ran into while I was incarcerated. There was quite a wonderful many artists that I met that were just wonderful, beautiful artists. Sometimes maybe the way, maybe their subject matter maybe wasn't the most traditionally beautiful subject, but their art was certainly gorgeous for what it was. But maybe, because of the subject matter being a skull, it maybe I say, man, that's gorgeous. And maybe because skulls, I don't know, freak you out, you would say, oh, that's not gorgeous. But to me, it is gorgeous because under this is a skull, all under the flesh, And I remember, gosh, that was a music video that bothered me horribly as a child. Like, it was Lou Reed. I wish I could remember the song, but it was a video where Lou Reed began to rip off his flesh and become a skeleton. And I was young when I watched this, and it was like some Friday night video show on UHF. And I had begged my poor mother, please let me stay up, Mom. Please, Mama. Please, Mama, let me stay up and watch the video show on the UHF dial. And eventually, she was a wonderful mother, my mom, my mater. She was great. I mean, did she have her problems? Yeah, sure. I mean, if I were to, be honest, yeah, who the fuck doesn't? Was she a wonderful, perfect mother? No. Does a wonderful, perfect mother exist? No. Or maybe yes. I haven't encountered a wonderful, perfect, 100% mother. I've encountered mothers that were, wow, amazing. Like on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being worst mom ever, 10 being uber alles great mom. Maybe we'd say 11 is off the scale, and do a Spinal Tap reference. And I swear, I wish I had a video camera. One day I was outside a wonderful music shop that if you're traveling in Virginia Beach and on Virginia Beach Boulevard, Mo's Music, stop by there, Mo's Music, and say to Mo that you ran into this weird guy and he told you to stop by. And, describe me basically somehow using this. And he'll probably, Mo, if that is his actual name, Mo's Music, stop by, say, hey, Mo, are you Mo? Because Matt told me to come here. Oh my God, I've released my Matt. Oh my God, chop off my arms and legs, throw me in front of my south or north door, and I would be a match. So, and then I could say welcome. But right now, I feel like having some water because my water glass mug thing is currently empty. It had Pepsi in it earlier, as did this mug, because I forgot about this. This is a wonderful, this is Hercules. And this was a chemical corporation. And see, that's Hercules. And then it's Hercules. And that's a cool company logo. It's a cool name. But at one point, this company, Hercules, got rid of their wonderful Hercules graphic image. They re-imaged because it was deemed that Hercules was not culturally sensitive or something such like that. So their later logo would be a rhombus, because I mean, I'm sure there are people that are horribly offended by rhombuses, but I think that, I mean, they must have done some studies, and as far as like heart mark or whatever the hell language they were using to discuss such public relation based data, the Hercules was testing poorly. This image, this manly Hercules mythological reference, was testing poorly, I guess, in, I don't know, chemical market studies. So they said, we need to rebrand, we need to re-image, we need to create a new, I don't know, love mark, heart mark, whatever the, you know, $20 word of the day was at that point in time in marketing. And so they recreated a rhombus. That's what they did. They got rid of this cool guy. And he wasn't even the coolest if you study Hercules. As a chemical corporation, if you were to use their study, their original, I have an original dynamite box from Hercules Corporation. It's an original dynamite box, and it has the original Hercules logo, and it's this awesome logo of Hercules, as you know, as you would imagine Hercules to be from Roman mythology, or Heracles. Same dude, different language. Heracles, Heracles, Hercules, Hercules. Same basic character, two different mythological cycles, Greek and Roman, that this character exists within. Because there is Greek mythology and there's Roman mythology, and there are differences between those two. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't this great? I'm just testing metrics things. So I have been, like I mentioned earlier, very interested in whole hour or half hour, or at the very least quarter hour metrics. So now that I've hit 1 hour and 7, I want to at least go 8 more minutes. And this is, so that's obviously, ouch. That goes somewhere, believe it or not. That was a far longer weird loop that was created by me and 2 other freighters that were here that evening, sometime early 2020. I wasn't taking a note in relation to loop 83. I apologize. I should have kept better journals. See, if you give me one chance, I will fuck it up. And look, I fucked up here. I dirtied this glass, while I also had this glass dirty. I've dirtied 2 fucking glasses. Now I have added more dishes to my daily dish load than I wish I had. God damn. Holy fuck. Shit. You know. Jesus Christ, Buddha, Ganesh, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Zeus, Hera, Hecate, Odin, Shiva, Hanuman. Is that, I mean, you know, is it better that I just offend everybody all at once there? So that way you don't feel alone and isolated when I say Jesus Christ? I don't mean to be offensive. I really don't. Jesus Christ, I don't feel personally connected to as my Savior right now. And I don't think I ever will again. I'm glad if you find Jesus Christ to be your Savior. Awesome. Cheers. Years. So 83, I'm saying I don't feel some, and I control volume better from here in relation to the studio. And but and I recorded everything. I wish I recorded everything with the same. But I'm figuring out how to exist with what I have. And wow, that's probably yeah. Like, look, the vocals are so loud that I could barely hear. Oh, well. So I was just in my kitchen, which is off camera. Uh, Behind me, you see me sitting, which is behind me is to the north. So to the north of me, there is a kitchen, and I have a sink in my kitchen. I think that's a pretty rational, normal thing to have in a kitchen. It would be a really poor kitchen if it did not have a sink. I would be like, wow. When I viewed this house, I would have said, wow, that's kind of an oversight that there's no sink in the kitchen because uh, I think sinks are convenient in the kitchen. But of course, by that same logic, I once met a man whose idea of properly convenient garage for him was having both a urinal and a toilet. And he was a biological male who urinated in the traditionally biological human manner that a male has a better distinct advantage due to external genitalia to be able to pee while standing. I mean, I'm not saying that biologically female human can't do that, but it's not as easy due to the biological construction of their genitalia. So, a biologically male human that has a properly functioning external genitalia penis, then it has an easier ability to pee standing up. So then this gentleman said that they must have, for him in his personal workspace, was both a bathroom with a traditional toilet. He did not have a bidet specified, but I think if I was installing and had the money to install a urinal in my garage, I would also add a bidet. Yeah, and I'd probably go for one of those awesome Japanese toilets that talks, like warms up, and I would go all out. I mean, honestly, if I could, like I think the Japanese really know how to make a toilet be very fancy, fancier than you ever need a fucking toilet to be. But then you think about it, there's kind of a genius concept to that because why not make going to the bathroom a fun celebration? Like maybe that creates excitement. Like you're like, oh, I gotta urinate. I'm so excited because the toilet shines neon lights while I pee in harmony to the urine hitting the toilet bowl water. So fun. So then, being that I use urinals a lot, they have done studies that often in some urinals, high scale urinals, like upscale urinals, like the bourgeois urinals, not the proletariat urinals of the world, but in the working class urinals, you might have a cigarette butt to piss on. But in upscale, really fancy urinals I've been to, there's a little picture of a bumblebee, and they've said that putting that there in the urinal prevents statistically less pee urine being around the urinal and on the ground. And again, if you are a normal functioning human biological male and you're not intoxicated in some manner, I I hope if everything is sound and working well, that you don't miss the urinal too much, or the toilet in general, for that matter. I mean, sure, when you're first starting to urinate, maybe that's a concern. Like, you're still learning, how to use the equipment there, and it's not like something you innately, know how to do. I mean, maybe, some humans do. I mean, but like, it's weird if you think about anything too long. And I'd like to study how I can take the topic and eventually edge it ever more slowly into uncomfortable territory. That um, I think that's fun. I think there's humor there, taking it to an absurd example. And I don't think that was a high level of absurdity there. Uh, this is only a test. So look at that, 1:15. I'm not doing wonderful at timing right now. Like, it was cool that it was 1 minute and 15 because I was talking about quarter hour increments, but I was over. So now, in order to have easier, digestible numbers to study for this live chat, uh, uh broadcast starting at 1 a.m. I did the schedule later. I selected 1 a.m. because we were like 17 minutes away, 1 a.m. And I said, let me try this feature. And because I think right now, if I did, I'm not going to launch a YouTube here. This has been a test. If this was Mystery Science Theater 3000, this would be KTMA. And if you're a Misty, you totally get that. And if you're not a Misty, you might get that. But if I said MST3K, most Misties, I would say every Misty, but maybe not. I would say, but I don't want to say that. I would say 99% of Misties. If I say MST3K, I don't have to. They don't say what. It's like an internal code, Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I could be wrong in my MST3K trivia. And if I am wrong, please correct me. And if I get your name wrong, I apologize profusely. But you are a public human figure. I don't feel bad mentioning this and you identifying David, and I believe it's Gruber Allen. Maybe I'm wrong. Some 3 names. I'm trying to be accurate because if I recall correctly, and I think, let's say 80% sure that I remember this esoteric piece of MST3K trivia correctly. Now, certainly, could I Google it beforehand? Yes. But, isn't this part of the test? I say something, and then I say MST3K, and that was coined by David Gruber Allen. MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Is that not an accurate, true statement? Sounds, doesn't it? And he coined it, and then I could make up a year when it first came into existence. And you might just go on forever, your whole life, and you would never fact check that. And I could make up David Gruber Allen, and I could make up a Wikipedia article about David Gruber Allen, and I could create an image of David Gruber Allen, and I could create a false mythology. If I wanted to, I could insert this. And I mean, it would be auto corrected by maybe a robot, maybe a human monitor. But that's Wikipedia. Think about that. I mean, is Wikipedia awesome? Yeah, it is. Fucking A. It's one of the things that, I'm grateful for. in this cybernetic ecology. And that is an allusion to Richard Brautigan. I don't want anybody to ever think that cybernetic ecology something, and it's an illusion. I say that a lot. Um, I first encountered that cybernetic ecology, and I don't know if Richard Brautigan created it, but the first time I encountered those two words together was in a Richard Brautigan poem. And Richard Brautigan committed suicide. He suicided in 1984. He rotted for a month before his body was found, and he blew his head off with a gun that he borrowed from a friend. And Richard Brautigan had dealt with suicidal ideation his entire life, and he had gone to a very rough spot in the early 80s, to the point where in 1984, one day, he decided, nope, I'm done. Fuck it. I quit. Yeah, it's selfish. And, you know, yes, it is problematic that that I feel this way. It is selfish to my beautiful child. He had a beautiful daughter. I hope that she's still alive. Ian, Iamthe. Uh, I consider her beautiful. I'm certainly not trying to offend her if she's still alive by calling her beautiful. I wouldn't want her to say, "Look at that ugly fucker," because maybe she thinks I'm an ugly fucker. Yeah, that she's free to think that. You know, I like this look of mine right now. I mean, do I wish I wasn't balding? Sure, yeah, I do. But that's my genes. Um, there are male pattern baldness runs pretty high. I have an uncle who is bald, and I mean, though unfortunately he did serve in Vietnam, so I think maybe some of his baldness could be possibly related to his service in Vietnam in the jungles, Agent Orange, maybe. But then my father is also very very thin in the horseshoe male pattern baldness, and and that's usually I wear a bandana on top of my head. Not I mean, on one level I like it, but currently in this virus has caused my bandana that I usually wear on top of my head to become a mask as well. And I went out today. And this is I think I broadcast on Facebook how I look, but I did not. I got it. I don't have a vehicle. So a freighter stopped by and he offered me a ride. Um, and I was grateful because I didn't feel like walking zero point 0.5 miles to get a pack of cigarettes. And I really felt like smoking a cigarette. I felt like having a beer too, I'll be honest. But unfortunately, there was a transactional analysis failure. By my calculations, I had $54. By the Wawa machines, transaction denied, I had enough money for this pack of American Spirits, 20 Class A cigarettes, the black pack. See, Paraquat blend. I don't. Does it say Paraquat blend anywhere on here? No, it doesn't. But that is what the black pack is, and um, American Spirits are my preferred brand of cigarette. I will bum cigarettes, yeah, if I feel like one, and I don't care. That's I used to have a freighter of mine who would joke. I worked with him, and he was a great freighter. His name completely escapes me. I worked with him. We were both janitors at a department store, and I worked largely with two janitors. Um, in both of their names, well, it's not forgot. That is inaccurate. I didn't like the names that they had. Their names didn't seem to fit them in my head. So, like their name went in, I heard them. They said, "My name, hey, my name's Randall," for instance. And one of the gentlemen was brown skinned, and the other gentleman was light skinned, like myself. I guess, white and black, if we wanted to use those technically erroneous terms. Um, because black is the absence of all color, white is all color at once, speaking on a color level. So therefore, that is inaccurate because I've never met a human that is black, the absence of all color. That would be horribly freaky. Like, really. I mean, there are some people who are very, very, their pigmentation is so dark that it very much approaches the absence of all color, but it is not that. It is not that. I mean, I haven't encountered that. I mean, maybe it exists. Maybe there is, and then albinos, they would be white people because they have zero pigmentation. But I have only in my 42 years on this cycle, on this blue ball spinning around here, Earth, and I haven't been to every state, but I've traveled around quite a bit. I've been out of country as well, and I've never ran into. I ran into 3 albinos in my life, and I don't know if that's a lot or I don't know how on average how many albinos a human meets. I don't have access. I'm sure that access is available right now. How on average how many humans meet an albino? What's the statistical likelihood of me meeting 3 albinos? I would say, I don't know, 30%. Maybe there's a 10% chance you run into an albino. I really don't know how many albinos exist as a percentage of the total population. But I mean, I don't know statistically the likelihood of running into a true albino, which would be a truly white person, because they have a skin disorder where they have no pigmentation. That would be awful. Think about what the sun does to. I know what the sun does to me. If I like I was discussing with a soror today. Uh, one of soror, that's Latin for sister. This human being identifies as a female, so therefore I've asked their permission to refer to them as soror. They have granted it, and I haven't decided what their name is. Actually, I have no issue with their name. I actually like it, but it's like a long name, their real name. And again, in trying to, I don't know, I don't care about my anonymity. I don't. But the guidelines, the community guidelines, I thought I read them. It said learn more, and I think I read them. I tried to. I don't want to be a bad YouTuber, and as I'm sure, maybe once I figure it out how to do this and generate and study this better. But this is a project that's in medias res, and I just decide to want to be meta and just, oh no, look, 1 hour and 28 minutes now. So now I'm going to go for at least 1 hour and 30. And I feel tiredness coming on. It's 2:15 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. I woke up roughly with the sun. Bad journaler today. I didn't notate the time I got up. I think it was like 6:30 a.m. Maybe it was 6 a.m. Maybe it was 5 a.m. But I believe the sun was visible when I woke up to a degree through I could sense it was there through my blackout curtains. Sorry, I was going to say blackout shades, but that would be inaccurate. It's blackout curtains in the master bedroom. And then there's a guest bedroom that I'm not sure what window coverings it has, because while I was incarcerated, an individual with mental health challenges, and I might glibly call him a lunatic, but that's a term I self-apply to myself, so I don't feel I'm being insulting. I'm not trying to insult this individual by calling him a lunatic. It's a term I self-apply to myself. I might say, I'm a damn fucking lunatic. So I don't clearly I don't take offense to that. To you, if you encounter me in public and you go, oh, God damn, you're that lunatic. Or perhaps you're like the individual that I ran into again tonight when I ventured out, and I hadn't ventured out. I had not literally left the confines of my property line. Uh, and I didn't keep an accurate journal of this. See how bad a failure I am. Oh, 1:30. Wouldn't that be a great time to end? No, now I'm going to go to at least another 15 minutes just because that's what I want to do. And I've got water, I've got cigarettes, I've got vaporizers. I've got a hookah if I was feeling really energetic. Though I would need to properly clean that out because the last time I was using my hookah, I decided to fill it with Mountain Dew, just to see, and then I could, at the end of the evening, I would have drank that Mountain Dew, and it would have been infused with the flavor of shisha or molasses I was using that particular night, and you know, I could put it over ice, and it would still be relatively carbonated and a weird Mountain Dew flavor that I created through using my hookah. You could also, if you like to drink liquor, and if you wanted to, you could pour whiskey, for instance, in your hookah, and then you could enjoy your favorite. Um, I'll say flavor because that is an accurate thing, but sometimes I'll say, oh, my favorite candle flavor is this, and I don't mean favorite candle flavor. I mean fragrance, but flavor, fragrance. You know, I know there's a difference, but sometimes I make that faux pas. I make that error, and I immediately correct myself. I say that candle flavor I like, or I'll say I hate candle flavors that smell like food. I don't mean to say flavors. I mean to say fragrances because I don't like to smell sugar cookie because then that makes me want to eat a sugar cookie. I don't like pumpkin pie scented candles because then I want a pumpkin pie. But I do love some of the fragrant notes that make up pumpkin pie spice, like cardamom is one of the notes in there, and I would love. And when I use my essential oil burner, I have two essential oil burners. One is a light-based essential oil burner, light bulb, LED lights. I don't know if it's still working. I haven't tested it. I hope it is. But luckily, there are two shops here in the town I live in that have wonderful incense burners available. And I could show it to you, but it's over there. And right now, I'm pretty comfortable sitting right here. I don't feel like getting up and walking the, I don't know, 6 feet over to where that incense burner is. And I do not 6 feet south of me. And I don't feel like walking 6 feet north to show you. I believe it's Young Living essential oil diffuser. I have two of those oil diffusers. Um, but then traditionally, me, because of my magical lifestyle, and wow, doesn't that sound awful and pretentious? But I am a magician. Not in the, I mean, I was at one point, like I did study as a child how to be a magician, like sleight of hand, tricks and stuff like that. And I was very, my lovely aunt, uncle, uh, they had more than one job because they were urbane and sophisticated, and they were really, it was a joy to know them. This aunt and uncle, and they had one child whom I dearly loved. And I still love them. It's not like they're dead, I don't think. I mean, I'm not sure 100%. They could all be dead. I don't have their phone numbers, and I haven't heard from them in years. I hope these three people that I won't mention specifically, I'll do some internet research later to see if they're alive or dead, maybe. But right now, they are kind of like Schrodinger's cat. They're neither living nor dead. They exist in this weird purgatory. And I'll have to think deeply about whether I do an internet search to determine whether these three individuals are alive and well. And then, of course, in relation to my cousin, whose name I don't want to say, um, uh, they had married, and the last time I had received a Christmas card from them, it had a picture of her, and she was a female that identified as a female. her husband, the male who identified as a male, and she had in this picture, and I got a lot of these. These were big for a while within the blood family. They were very popular. Um, in I guess I would say is that's kin versus kith. There's kin, that's your blood folk, and then there's kith, that's your family of your choosing. Kith and kin. I mean, I could say whatever I want to say, but let's say kin. That's the blood ties. And right now, if I were to study my life in relation to kin and draw like a chart, I would say, here's me, and I connect right now to kin, blood ties, my child, 3 cousins, 2 aunts. That's current count. And I'm not trying to be exclusionary. If any of them are, I don't know, somehow watching this. And then there's a way I found earlier. Look, I can post this to YouTube, but I can ruin. Not, I can post this to YouTube. That I can embed this in it to Facebook, and it opens up this new window, and then it produces. I don't know. I think that's the initial snapshot, or maybe that's an awful snapshot of me right now. And then it allows me to embed this on Facebook, which doesn't that destroy my live now? Why not? So then that's that's the Facebook post, and I'm going to choose news feed, and I'm going to click your story because I have an option there, and the news feed says public. So that's important, but I can change that if I want to, and I don't care. Newsfeed, I don't mind going public here on that in regards to Facebook. And then it says your story, which is friends only. So that's kind of cool. You can kind of alter where it posts to, but newsfeed is the default choice. Public is the default choice. You have to choose your story as well. So you publish it 2 ways to Facebook. But it's one post, I guess, marked 2 different ways. So then that was done at 2:25 a.m. embedded there. And then I click that button again to lower that pop-down menu. So anyway, that's cool. So that, then that was at 2:25 a.m. I take a note of that. But which journal do I use? Because I was saying earlier I needed to have more than one journal. So this is one journal. Koi, that is a great brand of CBD. And this other sticker says blast off. I have no idea where that sticker came from. And then I obviously had more than one of that sticker, so it says blast off here. I like stickers. And this is a journal that began initially on 8/16/2017. And then I crossed a line out, scratched that out, and then I wrote 8/30/808/30/17. And I have not made a note in relation to EVC or whatever. And then, of course, there is abbreviated notes that right now seem like time incremental notes using initials. So this was probably when I had a job, and it was notes for a job maybe, and that's why I was using initials only. And it definitely seems like what it is: 10:30 to 10:35, and then 10:45 to 11:45. But then there's a subnote there, 11:45 to 11:50. And so, yeah, and then I wrote over top of that, Achtung, tot. Those 2 words are German, warning, dead. And then a weird squiggly line, and then a big square. And then again, here, look, that was on 8/30/2017. The first page in this journal, which we call it the Koi Blastoff Journal. It doesn't have a title. But then, okay, and here, wow, this journal, 8/17/18. The next entry. So wow, is this the worst journal I have? Probably not. It's almost an entire year between entries. And this is I'll just read it randomly. It says dead on the money, and that is underlined. So I'm supposing that's the title of this work in progress. It says let me have a lisp. I'm not trying to make fun of. So I did have a speech impediment very severely, and I used to at one point have a stutter. And look at me. I can speak without a lisp and without stuttering, though sometimes my stutter, when I find myself under extreme times of stress, does revisit. And it makes me feel very dumb, self-conscious, and I don't like to talk. Uh, so I go quiet. Or sometimes I get so frustrated, I try to continue to talk. So, but I'm reading this dead on the money, and that's underlined. It's written in like some sort of ballpoint ink here. Looks like to me, yeah, sort of probably a zebra pen. I love zebra pens; they're great. Dead on the money, and that's underlined once in marker, once in, of course, the original pen, and then underlined in green permanent marker, probably a Sharpie, maybe a Crayola, probably a Crayola in all honesty. Because anyway, I like Crayola; they're a great product line company um, for like medium grade quality. I'm not trying to be denigrative. I mean, if Crayola makes a product that is equal to Faber Castell in the pencil world, well, then please let me know. I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. So it says thunderstorm at night in Monongahela National Forest. A small yet double sized unit in Seneca Shadows Campground nigh Seneca Rocks, a majestic sight. Odd motel, multiple stores, something nomadic after a French policeman gendarme me? Question mark. So there's a note I made. I guess maybe a work of note in progress, and then it continues. It doesn't stop, or maybe I'm just a bad journaler, and this was written. I don't know, 8/24/19. I don't know, but I think that this is all one coherent unit of time. 8/17/18 EV. Old lady cashier says it's too late in the day to get to the top of Seneca Rock. She explains this in her down home philosophical manner. And how often in the mountain is the sun lamented? Earlier and earlier still, she cautions about staying on the trail and not falling, not dying, proper hydration. And she states, never climb a tree to escape a bear. She also recommends Nelson Rock for zip lining tours up in the trees for hours, she said. She attempts to convince my partner, and I'm making an omission there, to conquer her fear of heights and go zip lining. She then intentions, no, sorry, intentions, that's me being unable to read my poor penmanship. She mentions, not intentions, she mentions a local swim hole, a path to parking lots down. Hard to find, but with the right pair of eyes, she says, you will see it. Will we ever see her again? And then I make a note at the end of that was 8/18/2018. And then here is 8/20/18 sometime. And I can say that in this past life, I was in West Virginia and I was I was visiting my one biological sibling that I was blessed with. And I love them dearly, but they are dead to me. And I don't mean that in any some sort of horrible manner. I wish it wasn't the way. She is a living, breathing entity, but she is dead to me because she has asked that I not have any communication with her at all. And out of love and respect, I honor that greatly. I appreciate her not backing this up with some restraining order or protective order and just sending me an email. I mean, it was heartbreaking. because I really love my little sister, and I wish that we could have a relationship, but maybe we can at some in some future life, but currently right now. So on 8/20 something, I write 2?18. So here I am trying to be a pretty good journaler on this past life vacation to West Virginia. West Virginia, the state, not West Virginia in West Virginia. And I don't really want to get into the discussion of John Denver's West Virginia, the song for West Virginia, that song that they adopted as their state song is fucking a song about Western Virginia. It's not about, listen to the lyrics and you'll understand that he's not singing about West Virginia. He's singing about Western Virginia. And I understand that, that's problematic. But anyway, that's a digression. Let's read the journal. 8/20 something, 2018. EV. Trying to interpret the I Ching tonight, the book of changes about being in universal harmony, unity. While we are crating vinyl in an old green painted apple crate, jettisoning most physical media, trying to escape the age of worship and digital media machine. What the glass teat, I suppose, used to be, but amplified with algorithms adapting to one's viewing pleasure? Question mark. Debating temple endlessly, but it did not feel welcoming. Even the head monk who went abroad. And that was 8/2018. And I do not know which temple I'm referring to there. I apologize. So then I have a little example of sounding, coding, simplified diagram. This is not notated. And then I have a note, not donated here, city versus country middle fear ejection cycle with some weird arrows and boxes. I'm studying something, no note. And this is a note studying two squares in relation to each other. And I'm not sure if even 100% that's my handwriting. I mean, it's hard to say. Did I draw that? Nobody else signed it, but there are journals I have where I can say that is not me. But the person who picked up the journal and left the note didn't bother to sign it. But all I can do through knowing my own handwriting, even though it does vary surprisingly to a pretty high degree. And then again, I have no note, and I can keep going. But this journal ends. I hope there's no. Oh no, because of course, then again, I could hold the journal completely like this. See, and then there's only one blast off sticker. And then I've decided to start writing this way in this journal. And wow, here are some notes that of phone numbers, times. I don't know area codes, so these are completely useless phone numbers. There's an address here in Virginia Beach, and I don't know. And then there is a list here. This is flipping the journal. This is one way to view the journal on the koi, but then if I flip it like this, obviously I did. I was not a bad journaler. So then on the first page, I have these random notes, and then I have this random list here, and there's triangles and squares and numbers, and it says laundry, Goodwill, recyclables, laundry, Goodwill. So there's one fire elemental sign alchemically, and next to that it says laundry, and then there is an asterisk star next to laundry. Then there is a triangle with its point up. That's fire, right? And look, fire, but I don't have my glasses on, but I think that's fire. And then opposite of fire, triangle with point pointed down would be water. That's Goodwill. And then again, I have a poorly drawn triangle, maybe not perfect, kind of pointing not straight down, but at a weird angle. That says recyclables, and then there's a weird half-formed asterisk next to that. And then there's another list below it, traditionally using 1, 2, 3. 1, it says recyclables, and then yes next to it, then 2 laundry, and then Goodwill, 3. So I guess I decided to laundry, Goodwill, and recyclables were 3 things that on that day I considered important. I initially ordered them in relation to alchemical symbols. Then I decided to reorder them using traditional numerical 1, 2, 3, and they changed. And here's a phone number. Should I call it and find out what it is? Maybe I will. I say, hey, I came across this number. I won't do it now at 2:30 a.m. because good news does not travel, I don't think, in the middle of the night. And now, I won't go to bed until 3. Even though I'm tired, I think if I laid down right now, I'd probably drift off to sleep. I want to stay up till 3 because I believe 3 is the witching hour. And I'm 22 minutes away from 3 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I'm 1 hour and 50 minutes into this live test. So then, and on this day, there is a phone number. It's an 804 number. So then I know it is Virginia. I don't know what date this was written down. I was reading the I Ching that day, which I Ching, I'm saying this, and I hate assuming things. I like to assume that, not because I want to be an asshole, but when I talk to someone, I assume they know nothing. And I'm not trying to be ignorant there, and I'm not trying to assume you're ignorant. I just don't want to assume knowledge that you don't have. And I don't want to be like saying, oh, the I Ching, the book of changes. And I mention that, I mean, a lot because I read the I Ching daily. How do you read the I Ching? We'll talk about that in the future. But then there is notes of I Ching, and it was thunder, wind, wood, which equals 42. And so that would be the page on that particular day that I don't know. I was doing an I Ching reading, maybe for myself, maybe for someone else. And that was, you read 42 based on that, how you read the I Ching. We can discuss that later. Maybe this is just a test. So that's how you bad journal. You have a journal that, is black and you put stickers on it to say, hey, this is the front. But then you have an extra sticker and then you put this there and they're blast off. And then see how easy that mistake happens. I picked up the journal, forgetting that there was a koi, maybe not even just paying attention. So that's why I'm a bad journaler. Too many journalers. Look at this. This is one journal. This is a great journal, good vibes only. Spin balls, which are these wonderful LED, I think they call them flow arts. I think that's I have a freighter who's like a master with a fucking yo-yo. Like I actually just, it's wild. I grew up with the Smothers Brothers, and I actually had an official Smothers Brothers yo-yo. And I was so excited with that gift. I was like so excited. It came with a VHS tape of great yo-yo tricks. And I'm sure if I had sat there long enough with that Smothers Brothers VHS tape, with that Smothers Brothers official yo-yo, I would have learned how to be a master yo-yoist, master flow artist with my design choice of yo-yo. And then I'd have to choose which yo-yo, because literally this freighter has a yo-yo that has like razor edges and it has a unicursal hexagram on it. Unicursal hexagram. I don't have a huge one right now. I'm sorry, but see that? No, that's the worst example to show. Unicursal hexagram. Unicursal. UNICURSAL hexagram. It is a magical symbol. Pentagram, that's a 5-pointed star. Point up, point down, that's one thing. The unicursal hexagram is a 6-pointed star, and it's a particular 6-pointed star. And it is considered holy by some people, as is the pentagram or pentacle. But then there is the Star of David, which is also considered a holy symbol by the Jewish faith. And it is not the Star of David a 6-pointed star as well? Yeah. So, and then we could get into King Solomon and talk about this, but this is a wonderful, this was a gift. This Good Vibes Only was a gift from my father. He purchased it at a really groovy little shop in Virginia Beach on Laskin Road near the Verizon store. If you were at that Verizon store, if that Verizon store is still there on Laskin Road, here's the Verizon store. And obviously, if you're facing the Verizon store, you're facing west. And if you're facing away from the Verizon store, you'd be facing east. You can't see the ocean, but you're like, 2 miles from the ocean at this juncture on Laskin Road. And there's a Verizon store. And then I think within a couple doors, there was this really groovy kind of artisanal shop, and I wish I'll remember. I have their business card, and I'd like to give them the shout out. But this journal, it's really cool. It's 140 pages. It's 100% post consumer recycled, and it has this groovy inside note pocket. And then it says this eco-friendly recomposition notebook belongs to, and you put your name here, and that would be probably a smart thing to do. But as this is a temple journal and it does not travel, it is one I kept here. And this note was made on 3/17 by a freighter of mine. I actually handed him this notebook. It has had, looks like 3 or 4 pages ripped out of it. So, then therefore the first existing entry in this journal, it was written by a freighter of mine on 3/17/20, and he did not notate which reckoning he was using. Let's say March 17th of this year, 2020. And he was saying, I said he was going to go hike in the mountains of Western Virginia. He was going to do his first Appalachian hike. That's what he felt compelled to do. And of course, as you know, as a freighter, I encouraged him, if that was what he believed his will to do, then he should run and do it. And as it was kind of the beginning of COVID, it seemed like hey, if you're going to go out and enjoy nature because you're in between jobs right now, then hey, why not do that? You've got an opportunity, you've got the gas money, you've got the vehicle. Why not go hike the Appalachian Trail? I did caution him that, given the fact that, this was his first major hike in his life, that he should study the elevation gain, like what elevation gained over how long this section he was doing. He decided to do 3 ridges, which is located in Nellysford, Nellysford, Nellysford. I think I'm pronouncing that accurately, but maybe it's Nellysford, and that's how you say it. It is in Virginia, the Commonwealth, and it is 14.4 miles. And his plan was to do about 5 hours his first day, 4.5 hours second day. And he was going to be starting at the parking area. And it looks like he says Reed, Reeds gap. And then his elevation gain across that 14.4 miles was 4,290 feet. So, I was trying to help him say, like, these are the salient details you should know to do this hike, since this is your first really major solo hike. And I was not inclined to say, like, hey, I'll go with you. But I did try to provide as much guidance as I could to him. And I wanted to have this information, so in case he disappeared and I didn't hear from him, I said, if you can, when you reach the peak of that mountain, if you can in any way broadcast to me, please do. And he actually sent me a Snapchat, and I was very grateful for that Snapchat. He actually made me this beautiful necklace in the woods, and I loved it dearly. And it was a wonderful gift. And in my nature, I decided to take that off myself and gift it to a beautiful creature I met one night in a bar. And then the other beautiful creature I gave another handmade necklace to was upset because she liked that necklace more than the handmade hook necklace I had actually made. She liked my freighter's work more than mine. And so there was these 2 humans did not know each other. They were just beautiful, and I wanted to give each of them a gift, and I was wearing them. I don't have any necklaces on now at all. My necklaces that I would wear and feel almost naked without, that I haven't worn since I was arrested. Because when you're thrown in jail, they take away your personal belongings. I did, thankfully, due to a wonderful chaplain, have a necklace while I was in jail of the OM, OHM, or OM, AUM symbol. And I thought that was a wonderful thing that the chaplain did for me, because I did feel weird without having a necklace on. And I was grateful for that necklace. And so therefore, in my incarceration, I did have a sanctioned, approved necklace. And I liked having that. And I was very grateful to the chaplain there for providing me that, and for providing me other things. I thought, in all honesty, I'd never met the chaplain, but I made a note of his name so I could make certain to call later in life the jail I was located in and provide some positive customer feedback to them. because I really am. I'm a customer to a degree. I mean, I'm not a willing customer, but I mean, to a degree. I mean, if we broke it down as I'm a customer and they're providing a service, it kind of made it easier. Tried to make it that way in my brain. And that the correction officers were customer service agents. I'm not trying to denigrate their job. It's a job that that needs to be filled. It doesn't. I mean, does it need to be filled? That's a huge debate. And then so that's the note there from Freighter Wright. That's what I call him. We agreed upon that. But I could decide to call him something else next time. But right now, that would be how I identified him. And then I began reading. I have no idea when. A great book. And if I had it handy, but it is a table, my tarot altar table thing. It is inside that. I don't feel like walking the 6 feet to my west to open my tarot altar and pull that book out. But it is a wonderful book, so I don't even feel like mentioning it now, but it is a book on esoteric study of tarot cards. And it was a particular book on how to analyze the tarot in a unique, magical way. Let's say that. And so the notes here are the Emperor, and this would become the archetypal symbol. And then 2 would be the Prince of Discs, Heir of Earth, which would become the character court card, or I could also alternatively, in relation to this particular breakdown, use King of Wands, which is Fire of Fire. And I did not make a note as to why that's an or situation. And then, of course, 3 was root symbol, became Ace of Wands. Personal symbol within the minor arcana was 4 of Wands. And then 5, the preceding personal symbol was 3 of Wands, and the progressive personal symbol was 5 of Wands. And this was a particular kind of tarot magic. And this was, you used the formula within this particular book. And when I can show you the book and correctly say both authors, I will gladly do that. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to discuss in vague terms now, because this is, after all, for me, 10 more minutes until I hit the 3 a.m. arbitrary witching hour. I don't know, will I end this broadcast? Should I have some diegetic sound in the background to make it more palpable? Do I care? No, I'm free to. I just don't. Well, anyway, so then that is one way to break down the tarot deck according to these 2 authors who wrote this wonderful book. And then I could go in, and I went in, and that was this journal. That was going to be the start of this journal. And then I didn't even make a note. I didn't even make a note as to which tarot deck I was using at this time, because clearly this involves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. There's a variation option where Prince of Discs, Heir of Earth, King of Wands, Fire of Fire, and I have crossed through. I see definitely a distinctive cross through of Prince of Discs. And then there's an arrow that drops down. It says, or King of Wands. So that means there was some variable there. So maybe I did not make a note as to what allows that to be an either or there in relation to this particular magic system. I should have. That's a failure. Look at that. Oh my God. And I don't know when I did this. So that makes this, to a degree, bad journaling. I don't know when this occurred. I can make a note that it was sometime after 3/17/2020. And it was before 10/16/2020. And that's horrible journaling. That's horrible empirical evidence. If I was trying to study this as science, which I do attempt to do as a scientific. So, and then there are some notes here. This is not an esoteric lecture on Tantra. This is more just a random discussion in journals. And then, of course, I showed you this one, and I showed you the Tote Ching journal, which I actually like, because not to be confused with the I Ching, but it actually is. It has these wonderful illustrations, and then it has quotes randomly from the Tote Ching. Now, the Tote Ching, 5,000 words, give or take. depending on translation you read. But about 5,000 words. It's a great book. And here's a quote from it. It does not identify the passage this comes from, but I'm just opening up this journal. And it says, if you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. And that is wisdom from the Tao Te Ching. Now, I unfortunately don't have any notes here. This is Stephen Mitchell, Mitchell, Stephen Mitchell's translation. That is his translation. And this journal, the Tao Te Ching journal, was produced by Chronicle Books. Chronicle, Chronicle, Chronicle Books. And they are out of San Francisco. They have a website still, hopefully, Chronicle Books. And the photographic acknowledgments for permission, oh no, to reproduce on the following pages and for supplying photographs. The publishers would like to thank a whole host of various sources, including wonderful, the Asian Art Museum of San Francisco, the Cleveland Museum of Art, courtesy of the Freer Gallery of Art, which is part of the Smithsonian Institution, the Honolulu Academy of Arts, which that partial purchase was a gift from Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell B. Hutchinson in 91, and the Liaoning Provincial Museum in Shenyang, the National Gallery of Canada, the National Palace Museum in Taipei, Taiwan, which is in Republic of China, the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, Kansas City Museum, their Palace Museum, Beijing, the St. Louis Art Museum, and the Shanghai Museum. And then it provides the various. So if you were looking at, say, if you were looking in this book on page 50, for instance, let's say here, page 50, and you were looking at this beautiful art here. See that? Wow, look at that. Isn't that great? The quote is, free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. That's a quote from Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching. And that particular image we're seeing on that is page 50 and 51. It's beautiful. And I could probably provide that in a better way. That is a museum piece that exists at the Shanghai Museum. And then the other, on page 69, there is another wonderful illustration here. And there it is. It's horrible reproduction. I'm sorry. But it is. And then the quote there is, the world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus, she can use all things. I love the Tao Te Ching. It is a book that I read excerpts from daily. Sometimes it's from this particular version. Because unfortunately, my favorite, I don't know, not my favorite, but the version of the Tao Te Ching I was using was accidentally thrown away by someone. And it was my fault for leaving it on the floor. And then it was also my fault for dropping a glass on top of it by accident while it was on top. So then it had glass on top of paperback pages that were each separated from each other because they had been taped into a journal so I could create my own translation of the Tao Te Ching to the best of my horrible ability, because that's what I wanted to do. And it worked out to a great degree until I was going through journals in a rather haphazard manner, and I shook the journal, and like, I don't know, 50% of my weird kind of let me work on my own translation. And that's just a weird personal thing when it comes to translations. I really want to translate it on my own. I don't think I mean, did I learn Hebrew because of I wanted to understand that language for the Bible? Yes. That was the original impetus for me. And then, thankfully, wow, at the same almost time, there was, I didn't know it at the time, but the tarot deck I mentioned earlier, they have, I guess, a correspondence or correlation to Hebrew. Um, each of the major arcana, which the major arcana and the minor arcana make up a tarot deck. A traditional tarot deck has 78 cards. 0 through 21 traditionally are the major arcana, 0 being the Fool and 21 being the universe. And they represent a symbolic journey from 0 to 21, the major arcana. That's overall, like, just nutshell, thumbnail sketch. And then the minor arcana are the 4 suites. And so for those of us out there in the universe who play cards at some point in our lives, we play with cards, ace of spades, ace of clubs, ace of club. I haven't played cards in a while, so I apologize. Spades, right? That's the spade. And then there's clubs, diamonds, and hearts. There we go. My gosh, did I see how hard that was? But in the minor arcana of the tarot, then, there is actually, and we're 1 minute till 3 a.m. Exciting. Or maybe 30 seconds. It's 2:59 a.m. and some seconds until we hit the witching hour. It's exciting. 10:16, 3 a.m. Wow. Almost arbitrarily. Anyway, it's not like it's a major count. There it is, 3 a.m. Happy witching hour on the 16th of October 2020. And this is kind of an interesting October because we began on October 1st. We had a full moon, and it was a full harvest. And then we end this month on 10/31 because October has 31 days. And then somebody once told me, like, I can never remember, like, I'll say, like, oh yeah, I'll see you. I won't say February 31st. I mean, I know that has 28 or 29 days, depending on whether it's a leap year or not. But sometimes I'll forget which months have 30 days and which months have 31 days. And then this one human once said, you just use your knuckles and the spaces between your knuckles. And if it falls on a knuckle, it has 31. January, 31 days. Then February, not 31 days. March, 31 days. April, I guess not 31 days because it falls on a knuckle, and in between knuckle. And then the next knuckle would be, is it February, March, April, May. May has 31 days then. And then the next month, April, May, June. June does not have 31 days by this rule of logic, if I'm remembering what he said correctly. And it was the first time I'd ever encountered this. And I was like, I don't know, 38 years old at the time. And then the next knuckle was, so forth and so on. I thought, wow, is that true? I never researched it. I mean, he was a pretty learned individual. He worked for me at the time. I leaned on his wisdom. And I'm not going to create a name for him yet because I'd like to protect his anonymity. But it is, to a degree, every story I tell. Some really happened, and some are made up. I don't have to tell you which ones are true and which ones are fake. I don't have to. Maybe if you want to inquire directly to me, maybe we could set up a way where, I don't know if you were a true freighter and you asked me, what is a true freighter? What is a true brother? If you were a true brother, a true sister, and here, not trying to be, throw gender at somebody. I don't want to ever identify somebody's gender. I don't want to say, hey, sexy lady, if that could be offensive. I wouldn't mean it offensively. I would just say, sexy lady, because you look like a lady to me. And I wouldn't want to say that. Maybe they're trying to look like a man. And maybe, and they ended up looking like a sexy lady to me. Maybe because I have weird glasses on my head. And maybe these weird glasses, I just see everybody as a beautiful woman. So all day long, I say, "Hey, sexy lady." And I don't mean that in any mean way. I'm not trying to pick you up. I said that to somebody, and I was tired. I wasn't like 100%. Um, and I accidentally said, "Hey, pretty." I think I said, "Hey, pretty lady." I was just trying to be nice, pay a compliment. They looked like a traditional female to me. So I used lady. That seemed like a good term rather than girl or woman. Lady sounded like, nice, lord and lady. Um, and so I said, pretty lady. And I wasn't trying to offend the poor creature at all, but she took great offense. She actually said, that is horribly rude of you. And I'm horribly offended by that statement. And I said, fuck, I'm sorry. I was just trying to be like as nice as I could. I didn't mean, I said pretty. I'm sorry that me finding you pretty is offensive. I apologize. And I said, and as far as lady, I also apologize. That was wrong of me. That's gendering you. I didn't mean to do that either. But my intentions were good. I was trying to be complimentary. And we live in such a weird world right now in this year, EV 2020, where, and I understand this fundamentally, pretty lady was offensive to that particular human on that particular day. It was not my intention to be offensive. And in all honesty, my intentions were, hey, I'd like to pay a compliment. And then I remember one time I was in the Wawa near me and closest to me. There are two Wawas near me, closest one I can walk to. So that is my Wawa because I can walk to it. I don't have any other means of transportation right now but my feet, unless some wonderful freighter or soror provides me transportation further away. Then I can walk anywhere. I mean, I was talking to my child today. They are an adult. I say my child because even though they are, I don't know, in their 20s, they are still my child, even though they're an adult. So I could say my adult, but they prefer they and them as pronouns. That is their personal preference because of their gender identity. They identify as non-binary, and that was a bit of a head trip for me. I'll be honest, because for the first period of their existence, uh, it, they were born biologically a female, and for I would say the first time I remember her and I, or me and them having a conversation regarding this, the first time I remember it, and I'm not saying my memory is always 100% accurate. I do strive for that accuracy, and usually I'm pretty good. But unfortunately, I'm 42, and for a large period of my life, I did abuse various intoxicants. And should I have done that? No. Or maybe I should have. I don't know. I decided to do it. It's the past. I can't go back and say, don't do that drug. But I did that drug. And why I did drugs is an entirely different conversation. And I don't want to open that can of worms at 3:07, 2:18. So let's go for 2.5-hour broadcast length. And it'll bother me a little bit that it will end at 3 something, but that's because I started at 1 a.m. scheduled. Because I read an article that a good way to, and this is just a test, to create would be I could record this right now and I could schedule it to produce itself later. That's cool. That's an awesome feature that YouTube live streaming has that I haven't seen on Facebook. Maybe Facebook has that feature. I'm not trying to say Facebook doesn't have that feature by any means. I'm just saying I haven't seen that feature readily accessible via Facebook's live cast option. So, and I'm studying these two as my primary live stream outlet because right now they are the two convenient ways which, given the manner in which I can test live streaming broadcasting for the first time in my existence on beginning 10/15/2020. That this, I mean, and honestly, it's weird at 42 to say this is the first time. This is my first personal laptop at 42. The first laptop that this is my first time using a laptop for personal use. I did have a work laptop for many years, but I did not have any at all any non what do you call it, non work related programs installed on it because that was against company policy, and I didn't want to violate company policy in relation to laptops because of the nature of that business. So I did have a laptop, a personal laptop, but it was a work machine, and so it was work. And I did not at that time have a desktop computer. My wife did have a laptop of hers, and it's not like I couldn't use her laptop. It was more her laptop than it was mine. Was it our laptop collectively? Yes. Did we have a marriage that was monogamous for a large part of the marriage? Yes, that was the alignment we chose. And then we decided to experiment with a different concept, polyamory. And I would say that it was a mistake for us at the time. That would be my analysis of that. But I'm not saying that switch couldn't have potentially, but the monogamous alignment was leaving some issues. So in trying to save the paradigm, and I had experimented with polyamory prior to this monogamous relationship, and I had mixed personal reviews on it. My data was, inconclusive. Not enough data collected, whatever you want to say. But when I had formed this relationship with my wife, we had that discussion initially. Like, hey, obviously we decided to marry. I proposed, not in the best way, not in I think the way she deserved it. That is a regret. I feel she deserved I thought it was a beautiful proposal. I'm not saying she disagreed, and I don't really feel like discussing that. But I think in hindsight, I really wish I had done something more spectacular to propose because it was her second marriage, my first marriage, and I really, really, I feel regret there, deep regret. But I apologized to her about that at one point. I said, I tried my way to, kind of come up with a meet cute proposal for us, and I think I failed. I think I should have done better. But hey, hindsight. When you look backward, I don't like to look backward, except to analyze. And then it is sometimes necessary to look backward to move properly forward. But in general, I don't like to dwell on my 6 o'clock because there's not much in a time sense that I can do about my 6 o'clock. My noon is about the only thing in a time metaphor using the clock face, 12 and 6, 12 being straight ahead, 6 being behind. Watch your 6, watch your back, watch your 12, watch your front. I mean, that's one way you could communicate. It's easy. You can say then, use the clock face because we're all pretty much familiar with the clock face. 12, 6, Other numbers that go in order: 12 clockwise, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, that's traditional clock. I mean, you could put Roman numerals there if you wanted to. Or any number system that you wanted to. You could randomly, you could have a clock that was, I don't know, the Fibonacci sequence if you really wanted to. So, and I could act like I've memorized the Fibonacci sequence, and I have. But then I could also look at the northwest point of this room, and I wrote it on the wall: 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, because the Fibonacci sequence is interesting. It starts with 0, and then the next number in that sequence is 1. And then to get to the third numerical sequence in the Fibonacci sequence, you add the two preceding numbers. 0 and 1 becomes 1. Then 0, 1, 1, and then 1 and 1 is 2. Then 2 and 1 is 3. And then 3 and 2 is 5, and so forth and so on to infinity. And that Fibonacci sequence occurs naturally in the forming of the Nautilus shell. The Nautilus shell obviously starts at 0, and then mathematically the Nautilus shell forms in relation to that mathematical sequence. And that mathematical sequence is a mathematical sequence, yes, but also interestingly exists in the formation of the Nautilus shell chambers, which is kind of interesting. It's an esoteric, interesting fact. And here we got 5 minutes, and then we hit our 2.5 hour. So that, why not end there? And this is the denouement. Have I left threads dangling? Yes, I have. Yeah. There's all sorts of threads dangling here. Has this been planned as perfectly as it could be? No. Has this been a test of a script? Very rough, and I guess you would say improvisational based script? Yes. I will study the success of that script in relation to this 2.5 hour broadcast by studying the points I wrote down in my magical journal that I wished to bring up. And then I will have the notes of discussions I hoped to conclude. And I'll see how well I did. And I can study that, and then I can see how to create a better script for myself in the future. It's been a while since I've thought about writing scripts. But I will say that the very first script that, as a young screenwriter, I decided to try to write a script. And I figured if I was going to try to write a script, I wasn't going to worry about anything but taking a story that I loved and turning it into take a short story and turn it into a feature-length script. And so I decided H.P. Lovecraft, Dreams in the Witch House. That would be my study of a script. And I mean, I haven't read it in years. I was pleased with it on a lot of levels. I was displeased with it on a lot of levels, but I still have it. I still have that original script, which I wrote with a program called Celtx, C-E-L-T-X, I believe that was written on that program. That was a great program. I don't even know if at this juncture that program, it was a freeware program at the time. And I tried to go for freeware. I try not to pay for my software, but I don't like to commit piracy to create software. I like to use freeware sources. So, or shareware, the best, like earlier, I think on YouTube. I meant Facebook, sorry, YouTube. I was saying, hey, if you're going to use a GPS to get around, I would recommend Sygic, and Sygic in no way has paid me to promote this. I'm just saying SYGIC, their GPS application is awesome. I love it. And it's a one-time fee. It was $14.99. It's a lifetime license. So that travels with you from phone to phone to phone forever. You pay that $14.99. It's a one-time fee. You have access to that license for your lifetime. It's great value, $14.99, one time. And then there are add-ons. And I was mentioning that it actually has a great add-on if your phone can handle that add-on, where you can lay the phone down on your dash with the screen side up, and it actually shoots an image out of the screen somehow and broadcasts it onto your windshield for convenient nighttime driving. So you don't have the glowing screen there, which could be distracting. So it tries to produce a projector onto your windshield, which it must be pretty cool. I never downloaded that add-on. It was a $5.99, I think, add-on. I didn't have any way to conveniently at that time attach my phone to the dashboard of my car in the manner that would have made it necessary to work. I had no way to. I mean, I could have come up with a way. It wasn't possible. I could have gotten two magnets, one magnet that glued here, one magnet that glued to the phone case, and there, ipso facto, I'm done. self-adhesive, two self-adhesive magnets, different polarities. There we go. But I didn't do that. But Sygic, Sygic. No offense to Google Maps or, I don't know, iPhone map thing. But anyway, 30 seconds to go. And it'll be like 3:19 a.m. here, East Coast Standard, when I end. But I want to go with the 2.5 hours. So I'm going to get ready to end. So I will say, I don't think anybody watched this currently. I don't know. Thank you for watching. If you did, thanks for watching in the future. If you watch it, this weird live test. And I will say, have a groovy green day, night, whatever you want. LUV 93. And there we go.